The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's showtime. It's Thursday, the 19th day of November in 2020. Welcome to the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman. That is Carla Zool. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Tell them what to do, Carla.
Share the link.
Start a watch party. Just get the conversation out there to your network. Another good one for you today. And another talented Bermudian writer, Yesha Townsend, is joining us. So should be an interesting conversation. I love Bermudian creatives, so I'm really looking forward to the combo with her. The Daily Play is a name that place. So Carla is guessing a place. Last week, I said it was one of the easiest. No, not last week. Was it last week? No, week before. Said one of the easiest somethings. And it was last week. I forget what the
Right, because you did a two-parter. I got the first part, and then you added a harder part, and then I flopped.
And I think this one is probably the easiest question. Well, no, I'll leave it at that. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Another day, another episode. Just make sure you share the link, start a watch party, retweet it. Get the conversation out. I want to just address something. We have a lot of people who obviously from the time we started the show to now, they've gone back to work. And I do get a lot of messages. Oh, I can't watch live anymore. I'm back to work, and different professions. I know it's not just teachers. And I did state a couple weeks ago that, many of our teacher friends. That said, please remember, folks, that you can watch the show whenever you want. It doesn't go anywhere. So even if you want to fact check Carla, because you know how me, because you know how I am, you can always just go on our YouTube channel, Facebook. You can find whatever episode you'd like, and you can just watch it at your leisure. I know some of you, when I say that to you, you're like, oh, but it's so much more fun live because I get to antagonize Jamal and Carla and so on. But just remember, you can still do that. We just won't respond to you. All right? What are you laughing at, Carl?
I didn't see that part coming.
So look, a lot to discuss, but before we get to, I want to talk about something that happened with my employer this week. So we did a survey early in the summer, and I think it was on the back end of all the social justice movements in the United States currently, right? Due to, I believe George Floyd was the one that really got things going after Ahmaud Arbery. And so we did this survey, and just this week we were sent a course to do on diversity and inclusion. And if anyone knows me, my responses to diversity and inclusion have been rather controversial. And what I mean by that is it's like charity to me. In a fair and just world, there would be no need for charity. In a fair and just world, there would be no need for diversity and inclusion. And so I took this course, and it was eye-opening. I think it was eye-opening, but it also pricked a conscience here and there. And the reason I say that is because you even start to understand your own biases. One of the, and I'll get to our own biases, but we, especially when you're put in boxes, like, and let's just be honest, we are. If you're Black like I am, if you're a Black male and you're in a country like the United States, you're considered a minority. So you're already in that box. And psychologically, you believe, well, I can't be discriminatory against another person. But in actual fact, you can. There was you name an example in this course, and there was an example. And it really hits home like, man, you've been guilty of doing this. No, not bad, but one of the examples is this. So I've had a career throughout a few companies, and we always think about, Carla, like when young people come out of, like, let's say they go straight into the workforce, right?
Mm.
And it's common that you go to a supervisor with an idea and they dismiss you. They're like, oh, it doesn't work like that. That's not how it works. Or they're dismissive of how you may feel or your ideas, right? Because you're new. You're just supposed to do as you're told. But also the bias that I picked up on that I had was something that we talk about. It's like, hold on. Now we're getting toward the outer stages, right? And well, one of us is already there. But see, even that, right? But we're getting there. And so now it's like, well, hold on. As young people, we were actually dismissive of some of the older people.
Mm.
And it's not till you get to matured career status that you notice that. And I was like, man, I actually have been like that because as a young person, you're energetic, you want to bring new ideas. And yes, a lot of times they get dismissed, but also we have a tendency to dismiss older people as well. Just think of politics and stuff. And you don't even pick up on that as being discriminatory or bias.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, and I know you've been in journalism. You've worked at a few local media companies in Bermuda, and I know you've probably definitely experienced it on both sides, like the coming in and as someone who's more experienced in there as an employer as well.
It's interesting that you say that because I was having a conversation last night and I was saying to the ladies how I remember when I was a reporter with the Daily, and it was a reporter that came after me as such, and they were so gung ho to have this status, and I was like, hold on, you have to wait your time as such. And I was like, but then I could remember being new and young in a company, and I'm eager to have my time. So like the roles shifted. I was like, oh my god, it's almost an epiphany too. It's like it's almost the same as I'm turning into my mama type of thing. It's like,
Right,
hold
right,
on,
right.
where did that person come from? You know?
But here's the question for the audience. With me sharing that, do you recognize your own biases? Like even you, Carla, do you recognize your own biases then and now? Like for instance, when you were young, coming into the workforce, did you recognize your bias towards older employees? And because when we think about workplace discrimination, it's usually about like people's race or religion, culture, sexuality. We don't even think about age and experience and stuff like that. But do you recognize your own biases? That's the question to everyone in the audience. Sorry, Carla.
I don't know if it was an age thing, but I think it was, which it does, age is a contributing factor. But for me, I was always eager. I wanted to smash my girls and stuff. And so I didn't realize that that person who could be my superior or someone who has been there a little longer than me
Mhm.
has a bit more experience under the belt. So I didn't appreciate it because, I want to do this, I want to do that. But now in retrospect, I realized that, hey, they were actually trying to show me the way and I was trying to pave it too fast.
Yeah. Well, I think my challenge was I did not like when older people would say, oh, I have years of experience, or I've been doing this longer than this. And then there's another thing that really got me. Well, this is the way we've always done things. That right there always rubbed me the wrong way. So it always, I think I reacted to that that somewhat, you know?
But to be fair, when that exact example, when I was at the RG, they had this Black History Month, and they used to do it the same way, same way. And when I took over as special sections editor, I was like, "Come on, we can revamp it." And
Mhm.
initially, some people were like, "No," because we usually just do it. And then we tried it, and it
Mhm.
was met with resounding success. And what was amazing, that was, gosh, 15 years ago. I had a teacher hit me up 2 years ago and say that she uses them every year and she had one missing. Did I have access? So I was like, wow, that was a chance that I got and it definitely made a difference.
Mm.
So it's pretty cool, you
But
know?
did you learn, like in hindsight, would you say that in hindsight you felt you now understand it, or was it at the time?
I definitely understand and appreciate the take your time one step at a time. Now, I don't necessarily think because someone's older or that someone's younger that they're any less or more, but I think you have to look at it holistically. If someone's been in a company for 10 years and you may have been there for 2, you kind of listen. But I also think on the flip side, from the younger person in the sense of experience in the company, they could have a fresh set of eyes. So you have to sit back. I think it's imperative for the growth of any company or business to sit back and listen, because they may see something that you may not. And just because they haven't been there as long doesn't mean that their input is any less valuable.
Indeed. I think even putting the age thing aside, because you can get someone who never went to college that is 24, right? Or 20, let's say 23, has 4 to 5 years of decent experience in, let's say, insurance. And then you have a college grad who's coming out of college, they're 23, and they also have they don't have the experience of working, but they have the college degree, and they can clash in terms of one being formally educated and the other having experience in terms of working, and even the bias is there. So the question again, because I see some of the responses here, Sean Smith says, hell yes, it's human nature. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Charles H. Jeffers too says, for the most part, self-reflection comes with maturity. And that's actually why I asked Carla, was it in hindsight when she learned this? We all have a leaning bias towards something based on how we're taught, raised. Some just aren't as prominent as others. Well, that's not the question. I think the question is, do you recognize your own biases? Everyone obviously has biases. I mean, it's normal. I mean, if you're born in a certain part of the world, you're probably going to believe in what you believe in. The question I'm asking folks is, do you recognize your own biases? Because it's one thing to be biased. It's another thing not to recognize your own biases. Like we can be very dismissive at times because we believe that, hold on. I shared, there was an article I read yesterday, for instance, Carla, and it says the future CMOs are going to be those who are social media managers. Meaning, if you're planning on being a chief marketing officer, you're going to have to be great at social media marketing right now. That's changed, right? Because what the report said, the article, was that most current CMOs are in their 50s and 60s and didn't really come through on the social media age. So they're being phased out or timed out. So like stuff like that is what I'm referring to in asking the question, is it a bias? Like, would someone recognize their own bias? Because those CMOs are more likely to say, oh, well, social media isn't the be all end all. This is how we traditionally target people, and it still works. And whereas a social media marketer may come along and say, well, these are the results of digital platforms and the impact that they have today versus that. And this is why this is the way to go. Rather than both of them sitting down and saying, you know what, both can be useful. It's just a matter of how we approach each to give equal, playing. Interesting times. Kathy Brumby says, I would hate when making suggestions when young and then boss taking credit for your ideas. Well, I know many people who have been in that position, Kathy, and I don't want to go there today. We're not going to go there. But let me just read my post so that people get an idea. So coming out of that, I wrote a post on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I wrote, when we entered the workforce, many of us were told to work hard and the rewards will come. It sounded good in theory, but the truth is that if every hardworking person was rewarded equally, there would be less of a need for diversity and inclusion in many respects. I'm appreciative of so many companies and organizations for taking the time to focus on improving workplace culture. It is needed and necessary. How we interact with one another, respect each other's differences, and how we're treated are imperative not only to our individual success, but also to the organizations that we represent. Now, we need courageous leaders who are not afraid to make tough and unpopular decisions to move the needle. What I mean by that in the end, that final sentence is, I'm sure you've noticed it on your LinkedIn, and people have noticed it throughout whatever mediums you use to connect professionally, is you see so many different people popping up in these newly created diversity and inclusion positions. And what I want to make clear is, like, I see many of the people that are getting these positions are Black. And I want to make it clear that Black people are talented enough to be CEOs and COOs as well. We don't just need to be stuck in diversity and inclusion positions. Don't use this as a way of, giving us a title,
keeping us quiet,
and to keep us happy or to satisfy some or check some bucks. Let's not do that. So, interesting times, Carla. You ready for the news?
I am.
All right. Carla's going to bring you the news. Don't forget, we have Yesha Townsend coming up. She's a very creative Bermudian writer, and she'll be actually doing a workshop soon. So stick with us. Let Carla get through the news. Don't forget that Daily Play is coming, folks. Daily Play is coming. And, this is when she performs.
Young people in Bermuda who are currently in care will no longer be left to navigate their way through life on their own once they age out of the system. Minister of Social Development and Seniors, the Honorable Tanae Furbit, announced that government will establish independent living coordinators who will be a part of a transitional service. The independent living coordinators will create individual plans for our young people coming out of care to provide affordable housing options, post-secondary education, and career and financial advice, as well as access to physical and mental health care. Mrs. Furbit saying, "We must not allow our young people to fall through the cracks. We must offer them the tools they need to make smart and informed choices that stand them in good stead for the future. This government is dedicated to helping young people achieve their full potential, and we are committed to providing services and programs that are consumer centered, which address social and emotional needs and foster self determination and self efficiency." And again, that was Minister of Social Development and Seniors, the Honorable Tanae Furbit. A news report released Monday by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association found that the coronavirus is infecting children now more than any time during the pandemic. The number of American infants, children, and teens diagnosed with COVID-19 has surpassed 1 million, accounting for 11.5% of all cases in states reporting cases by age, according to data. The total hit nearly 1.04 million kids on November 12th, including nearly 112,000 new cases last week. That was the highest weekly total of any previous week in the pandemic, the Academy said. Turning to news in the UK, a British housing association has repaid a Black woman £30,000 after she was charged double the rent of her white neighbor for an identical house. Selma Nichols, age 40, says she feels exploited after Sanctuary allowed the inequality to continue for 3 years, once even serving her an eviction notice while letting her neighbor off. Ms. Nichols paid £500 a month more than her neighbor for an identical property in Tottenham, North London, from August 2017 to August 2018. This was increased to £1,000 a month more the following year. During this time period, she found it difficult to make ends meet, suffered from depression and anxiety after being diagnosed with PTSD years before. She said, "I feel exploited, manipulated, and neglected by how Sanctuary Housing has dealt with me. I was exploited, the only person that was unaware that I was paying double the amount for the exact same unit as my neighbor." Jamal, Charles Jeffers, James Birch, David Wilson, and all of our male listeners, today we honor you. International Men's Day encourages men to teach the boys in their lives the values, character, and responsibilities of being a man. Mahatma Gandhi said, "We must become the change we seek." It is only when we, both men and women, lead by example that we will create a fair and safe society which allows everyone to prosper. The month of November is important for the masculine soul because it gathers several events that are important to men. It is a chance to contribute to the efforts being made to improve the lives of valuable men and acknowledge the need to change some damaging attitudes. Turning to weather, Bermuda's temperature is expected to reach a high today of 68. It's expected to reach 60 in Atlanta, Georgia, and 45 in Birmingham, UK. And on a programming note, don't forget to tune in to the full100radio.com tonight for Nighttime Jams, featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
So did I hear right? So it's like International Men's Day today or something?
Mm-hmm.
Is this like the first year? I don't think I've ever heard of it.
No. It's been at least since 2010. So I celebrate you in all your goodness.
I guess all that mourning that the men did because women get this day and that day, they probably cried enough and they got now have International Men's Day, because the only time I've heard about Men's Day is, you know, how there's churches in Bermuda. They have Men's Day, but I had never heard of it. So you learn something new every day. Happy International Men's Day, crybabies.
What is wrong with you?
Good day, Medical House, Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
Coconut oil has been popular here in Bermuda as a skin moisturizer for generations, but is sometimes avoided in cookery because of its unhealthy reputation. We've witnessed a change in attitudes as recent findings indicate that coconut oil is actually heart healthy and can enhance our immune system, increase metabolism, energy and endurance, and improve digestion. Nutiva coconut oil is a superfood in its own right, and this month we're featuring Nutiva organic shortening made with organic coconut and red palm oils and also hemp seed oils. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back to the big show. It's the Daily Hour. Carla Zul right there, Jamal Hartman right here. Don't forget, thanks again to Medical House and Lindo's, as well as Channel 82, where you can also watch the show if you have One Communications. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. And don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Daily Hour YouTube page. We upload some videos of Carla being crazy on there, as well as some of our guests and the recordings of their show. That said, what you laughing at?
Why I'm the crazy one? I am the most passive out of the duo. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean any harm by that, Carla. My apologies. But without further ado, we have a guest comment on. So let's welcome Yesha Townsend to the house. Hello,
hey,
welcome.
Hey, that's me. I didn't know you guys were on Channel 82. I just had to text my granny real quick. So, yo, turn it on. She'll love that, man.
We definitely have to make sure that we have access to our grannies and our grandparents, because
this is what I'm saying.
we don't want to be, look, let me share a story with you. See, my nana, I call on video on Saturday because she sees me on the show now, and my aunt says, "Oh, you know who that is?" Says, "Yeah, that's Jamal with all that hair on his face. Why don't we cut that?" As if I'm not listening to her, right? But she enjoys the show, but she's just not impressed. So hopefully your granny will see you today and say, "You know what, Yesha, you look beautiful. You sounded great."
Hopefully. Yeah. Like, "Oh, you comb your hair?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't comb my hair. I don't go outside anymore."
That would be the version of my nana saying, "Cut that beard." Yeah, I got you. But thanks again for coming.
Thank you for having me, guys.
No problem. But let's get right into it. Tell us a bit about what Brackish Pond Literary Collective is.
Yes. Okay, so Brackish Pond Literary Collective started off as honestly a fluke between Kristen White and I. If you don't know Kristen White, you should probably head down Water Street in St. George's and walk into Long Story Short. She will be there, probably hula hooping. But Chris and I, we were in like the middle of our respective lockdowns, you know, me in London and her in Bermuda. And we were kind of like in the middle of like a creative dirge, and it was like, what to do? Like, what do we, should we do some sort of like writing thing? Like, should we give each other prompts? Like, what to do? And we were like, let's have like a little writing workshop. Like, I hadn't worked since like March, you know, and I think this was like May. So we were like, yeah, let's hold a little writing workshop. Now, we were thinking we'll get a couple, maybe few novice writers, maybe 2 or 3 who would just listen to us talk wax poetic about like literary devices and such. We got, I want to say for that first one, something like 12 or 13 writers, and they were strong writers. It was crazy. We weren't really expecting that. We were prepared. I'm not gonna say we wasn't prepared, but we wasn't expecting that. Just the level of just literary acumen that was new, that we knew was on island. So we had this workshop, that first workshop, and it was amazing. And a couple of our students, they were so like dedicated and so excited. They wanted to continue to do like a further workshop, because in the first one that we had was just introductory. We was talking about like certain important foundations of writing, and we went through all these genres, poetry. Well, we did only a little bit, but mainly nonfiction and fiction. And then we took like a few of our first little cohort, and we did a second, more intensive workshop, a level 2, if you will, later in the summer, and that was unbelievable. And that was kind of carrying stronger writers into a more definitive project. Whereas like the first workshop was like, here's all these things to help you write something. You want to write a short story, you want to write a novel, here are tools. And level 2 was like, okay, you know what your project is. We're going to work actively toward that. So we were just helping them and facilitating that space. And we realized a couple things. One, the workshops were amazing, and it was great to be able to connect with students. That is also what I do. I am an adjunct professor at Bermuda College, teaching studies in Bermudian literature and other things, but mainly writing and such. But we were so excited about the actual engaging with students. But the other thing was the community. We were really, it was very evident how important and how much of a distinct space that we were building there. You know, Bermuda has a consistent literary tradition. It isn't large. It isn't, you know, incomparable to like more of our sister countries or countries that we are closely linked to within like the diaspora. We don't have a literary tradition that's like as robust as like Jamaica, right? Or even Trinidad. But we are consistent. We are so consistent, and we have been since Mary Prince. Do you know what I'm talking about? Since 1834. Since when she was first published, and we had a literary activism sort of birth. Bermuda came into the literary world like fists up, guns blaring, you know, like we were ready. So if that's our introduction into literature, it's huge. Obviously afterwards, all of our literary feats, some of them have been not necessarily from Bermudians, you know, like the next thing after Mary Prince was Shakespeare, still Vex Bermudes. But we have a tradition that's real. The only thing about it is that it's kind of out of our reach. You know, most of our literary heroes are unpublished or out of print. Our most popular, most successful writer, Brian Berlin, you can't get any of his books. I teach back studies in Bermudian literature now with photocopies of my copies. You know what I mean? So
what was that name? Brian who?
Berlin.
Brian Berlin. See, you should know him, Jamal. This is what I'm talking about.
Hey, look, I that's why I'm writing it. I'm like, hey, look, I'm learning today. Like you know, you're not gonna call me out next time.
I appreciate it. But so Kristen and I were like kind of thinking about this, and we were like, all right, this is the space, this is really important. And you know, we were looking at our forebearers, we were looking at where we came from, because if you are going to perpetuate anything and have a community and have a space, you're part of a genealogical, like you're part of some sort of like family tree. And me, I fall from the literary family tree of Mary Prince. Do you know what I'm saying? If that's our beginning, she is literally the mother. So when we were kind of trying to figure out what to call ourselves, what to brand ourselves as, it was no other place.
So I hear you, and I love it. Like I actually this is good. In the age of the internet and social media, how have you been able to ensure that Bermudian literature and history is relevant?
I don't think it's ever not been relevant, and I don't think the age of social media is actually a help. You want to look at places like, shout out to, Burn Memes. I know that they're like a smaller media company, but like every time they get like a little nugget of Bermudian history, they find an old postcard, they find a fact, it sends out to how many, thousands of followers. So I think this is actually more helpful. Even the National Museum of Bermuda, they have an online platform where they publish a lot of cultural, historical, beautiful long form papers. Now no one really probably looks, because you're like, oh, the museum, I'm not gonna read it, but it's there, it's available for us. I think maybe we just don't have a centralized place in which to like direct us to all of this, which I think I can speak for Kristen and we were hoping that Brackish Pond could be that, like a literary hub, which is why we call ourselves a literary collective. Like, yes, we'll hold workshops, but we also want to be able to direct you to everything that is happening literarily on this island that we love so much, that we're a part of. So I actually think in this age, this is the time where this isn't going anywhere. I'm teaching long distance right now via Zoom, and while I hate not being in a classroom, like there are so many resources for me to be able to like send my students, look at this. So this is the internet, social media, kids like tweeting, TikToking, retweeting, sending things around. This is the best way for that to actually get all of this information. So I'm a fan of it.
Indeed. And that's why I was saying, like, that's why I said, I definitely, and I agree, Burn Memes. And I'm just going to correct your statement. You said, although not a large media company, and you're right in terms of tradition, but to me, and I've said it on this show before, they are the biggest media company in Bermuda. In terms of what they do. I mean, and no, seriously, because you're not wrong in what you meant, but I just feel, and I want to emphasize the point you're making. When sometimes I learn stuff from their memes, like some of the stuff, I'm like, man, I forgot about that. Like, this is like, it's pure history, and so you're right. They play an integral role.
So much, and even though they started off as like just sending memes, and yes, they still do that, and I love that, but they're so important, and like getting out just little historical bites. I think that's the best way for people who are in between this like 20 to 35, we're scrolling through our phones or whatever for like 10 seconds. It's amazing.
Indeed. Talk to me about how you guys, both you and Kristen, have been able to generate and create interest in writing workshops, especially during a time like right now. Has it been easier because of Zoom?
It's been the first round 100%. Well, mainly because people were inside. You know what I mean? Like now, like you had said earlier, people are going back to work. They're not able to like watch the show live or whatnot. It's the same thing. That first round, we got such a surge of people, and one, for a few reasons. Obviously, no one had anything to do. Two, people are looking for this. We got so many writers who were like, oh, I've been meaning to do this all this time, but I keep putting it off because of this. I keep putting it off because of this. So yes, they had the time, but finally they had a space to be able to do it. That was theirs. That was home. That wasn't like, here's $500. Let's spend like $500 to $600 to go to wherever for a writing retreat. It's like, no, this is in Bermuda. You can do it online. It's with these two people who are reputable. So I think it was definitely ease. Zoom has helped out a lot a huge amount. We were able to even host a youth workshop, which was great. It's made it a lot easier right now. I think now that people are returning back to work, returning back to a sense of normalcy, pretty much definitely in Bermuda, more so than London and other places. But they have less time, right? But people are definitely still there's still like a lot of interest generated around doing these things that aren't so much of an extracurricular or a hobby anymore. You know, we got so many students who were just so excited about finally allowing themselves to write, right? So it's Zoom is great. Like, shout out to Zoom, and as their stock just continues to rise through the ceiling.
Well, I think real quickly, their stock actually took a hit last week when the vaccination was announced. It took a tremendous drop, but we'll be watching that. I'm sure they made off well earlier in the year. Go ahead.
They're fine.
Aisha, what is the primary objective of the workshop? Is it to improve writing, or is it equally to expose people to Bermuda's history?
Okay, so we have a few different workshops, and all of the workshops will be kicking off in the new year, just to allow us some time to, hunker down, get everything tight, and also to allow people to like enjoy the holidays and then get ready for that whole New Year. What is it? New Year resolution, like kickstart January. But so we have a few workshops. The one of them is primarily a Bermudian studies in like Bermudian literature, sort of history. So we look at Bermudian literature broad spectrally, and how it relates to creative writing. We pull elements and have like little bits of like exercises for you to certain excerpts for you to read and exercises for you to respond to that. Then we have foundational workshops, which look at very specific and particular parts of writing. So for instance, like we have one workshop that is only focused on plot. So we're looking at all of the elements of how to create a good plot, setting, character, all of them. So those are workshops that are all in their own. We have a workshop that is only dedicated to literary devices. So how you use metaphor, how you use flashbacks and flash forwards, how you use alliteration, things like that. So they're all separated so that you can have more attention focus. And so they each have different strengths, weaknesses, and I guess points to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like they each have their different so for the Bermudian literature one, I guess it would be, yes, this is a history lesson. This is for you to understand more about where we are culturally as in a literary tradition, in this literary tradition that we have, in this long-standing one. And then all the other ones are foundational, so they are more geared to how to craft yourselves as a writer, how to build your toolkit, how to carry yourselves, not just through a sentence and a paragraph, but through 400 pages, through a manuscript, and giving you building blocks to do each of those things.
So it is often said that, especially with young Bermudians, that I'll say collectively, we don't know our history, therefore we're not sure of our identity.
Brian,
what's your perspective on that?
Yes. Short answer. It's honestly, it's just this is why I talk and live and breathe, and this is the crux of all of my work. Not just me as an educator, but my own personal educational pursuits. Like my PhD will be completely centered around the Bermudian culture as it is seen through our cultural evocations and seen through our how we express it. So if you do not know where you come from, no, you're not really sure of where you're going. You will have lost the way, and there will be some damage done there. But that's evident, right? Kristen and I talk about this all the time. Like every 25 years or so, maybe even less now, there's like this lovely theme that goes around Bermuda of like Bermuda has no culture. It's great when it pops out. It's just hits you right in the spirit. But there's a few things happening. How, first of all, Jamal didn't know who Brian Berlin was. That's cool. I didn't either. I had to go and sit in the class that I teach now in order to know who that was. I didn't know who Mary Prince was until I left Bermuda as a 20-something-year-old student and started to do my own research just because I was figuring out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to focus on. And my writing started to become much more geared to inwardly, geared into like figuring out myself. And that meant doing some excavation of my home, of who I was, of how I was built, and built out of limestone and cedar. You know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, Mary Prince, what? Emancipation? Why wasn't this in the school? But that's cool. I know about, like, I don't know, random stuff about the Queen and America. Why is that? So, you know, like, I get so upset about it.
Can I just say, because I don't like to be alone, Amanda Kelly ain't never heard of Brian B2, so next time, just say Jamal and friends. Nobody.
I'm sorry.
But you know what, though, Aisha, with your last sentence, you bring up such a valid point because, as Jamal likes to tease me, like I'm closer to 50 now, right? And when I went to school, the only thing I remember in Bermuda history is Chained to the Rock. And all I literally remember is the name of the book. I couldn't tell you what was in it or what have you. And as I grew older, I felt like, oh my goodness, I have no idea. Like the Mary Prince, I didn't know who she was until they erected the statue down at Cabinet. So it's been happening at the
That's Sally Bassett at Cabinet, right?
Oh, see, that's my point. Perfect example. No, some people are like, but that's my point, is that we did not, it's been so many generations of not being exposed. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but not being exposed to the history that should run through our very veins.
Exactly.
So I wasn't making it funny, but
no, you're right. So of course we don't know who we are. Of course we can pop up and just spew out of our mouths every like 10 months or so. We don't have no culture because you don't know what it is, sir. You think it's just pink Sam blue shorts and gumbays. Shout out to gumbays because they are a cultural icon. But I'm just saying, we have like a few things that we hold true as talismans, and that's it. And it's usually the things that easily look very nice on a poster for Bermuda Tourism Board. Anything that can go in a commercial, anything that can go on a billboard in New York City to remind you that Bermuda is an hour and a half away. It's those things, right? So then that's running through our head constantly. It feels like we're a commercial as opposed to a cultural hub, a place that is rich, has so much integrity. It's an amalgam of so many places. Like Bermuda is unbelievable. It's absolutely the love of my life. I will say that now. Like Bermuda, the things that I do, the things that I write are from, for, and to Bermuda. Like I've dedicated my life to not only understanding this place, but giving to it. It is the absolute love of my life. And so it is so detrimentally hurtful when I hear people just pop off like, oh, we ain't got no culture. Sir, do you know why you think that? Because you have no idea what it is. And that's not your fault. The system has failed you, us, me, all of us. Mm-hmm. We have to go and do this independent research. We have to go and like try to find Brian Berlin books or Nellie Musson books. Where's Mind the Onion Seed? Can't find it. Black woman wrote a beautiful book on the history of Black people in Bermuda in 1976. Can't get it. I bet you one of you lads' granny has it though, like in the back of her, you know what I mean, like book cabinet. But these are the things.
I want to jump in because obviously I think when you bring up the whole tourism perspective, I have a very emotional connection there. And I just want to say I appreciate what you said because it's something that really bothered me during my time there, and it bothers me today, even though they're attempting to do it now because so many people have screamed at them. But I've always said Pink Beach is not our culture. Bermuda shorts is not our culture. It's not like that. That's what you want to create. That's the part you want to make people believe. That's why when people say, hey, you're from Bermuda, this beach, and I didn't go to beaches growing up. I didn't. Maybe you all did. Well, call it if you went to beach. But I say that to say I remember, and this is a true story. This was, I'm trying to think of the time. We had something going on in Bermuda, and we were in a cab, and we were driving. We used to have fam trips, the familiarization trips where you bring travel professionals to Bermuda.
Okay.
And we were in the cab, and we drove across Cabinet, and the lady asked, "Oh, what's that?" As we were going slow past, and I said, "That's Sally Bassett," and I told her the story about how she was burned alive and so on, right? And you know what? This white woman, travel professional, who were supposed to be selling Bermuda, said, "Oh, why couldn't people just do as they were told?" And I have many experiences in tourism like that. And there were many times when I was the fly in the milk at a lot of different tourism events for Bermuda. And I've seen Kristen be very outspoken on social media in regard
Yes, she
to
is.
the kind of people that visit Bermuda and the kind of people being targeted. But these are conversations, and I say it all the time. We don't have honest conversations
No, we don't.
about Bermuda tourism and our culture. And it's time, because as we spoke about yesterday, it's going to take a long time for Bermuda tourism to recover. Right now is the best time. Right now is a
Exactly.
better time than ever to kind of reshape what Bermuda is, who Bermuda is, and how to connect this Bermuda that Aisha's talking about, that Kristen talks about, that we're having this discussion about. Connect this Bermuda, our Bermuda, with the audience that will respect and love our culture unfiltered.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Go
Aisha,
ahead, Mom, sorry.
I'm sorry, you have this passion. And what I love is when people do stuff that they love and it is like coming out of your pores, right? I would love, you're the type of person that is like, to me, the ideal teacher, because they clearly have a passion for what they're delivering. So
They're
my
probably
question,
so tired of me. They're probably so tired of me.
it's admirable though, like seriously, because you know how many teachers are like blah 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 blah, but you can't have that energy in your presence. So my question is this though, I'm interested in doing the workshop, but I'm a beginner writer. Am I eligible, or do you have to have a certain level of writing?
100%. No, no, 100%. So our initial workshops, the initial ones that would be the foundational ones, those are foundational workshops. They are to give you tools. They are to help get in the entry ground floor with writing. If you aren't sure, like, yes, we will help you. We also, Chris and I, like I said, we did develop like a second level for like stronger writers or writers who already have like a manuscript in mind. So we also have that option for if there is someone else who's like, oh, like, I'd like to work with you guys on a manuscript or something. Like, that's possible. But no, we definitely will take entry-level writers, of course. There were, I think our first workshop was split maybe like half, like first-time writers and half people who had like dabbled in writing, but all of them were superb. Just such strong writing. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. I want to go through some comments. This has been a very eye-opening show. So many people with a lot to say. And Kristen actually says, in thinking about Bermuda, art helps us to see ourselves. And
yes, blah blah.
I honestly appreciate that. All right, and look, I don't think
I'm not supposed to do that.
This kind of energy this early. So I'll say this much: if anyone was tired or not quite awake when we started this show, they are there right now. Tell me something. I know you said you're teaching long distance right now, and this is kind of off topic. What courses are you currently teaching at Bermuda College?
I'm teaching studies in Bermudian literature, which is my dream course. I was lucky enough to sit in that class under Dr. Angela Barry, who's a mentor of mine. I sat in it twice because I'm obsessed. And so I teach that now, which is just, it feels like it's undeserving. But and I also teach freshman composition, which is like rhetorical strategy writing, how to talk about cause and effect and all these other rhetorical strategies. I like it. I don't know if the students do. They're just like, oh, another essay.
Aisha, tell people how they can get in touch with you all and get into the workshops. Give it to us.
Cool. So sometimes I can't really be found, but Kristen can be found. It's Kristen.com or Kristen.com.com. But you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Amelia Pureheart_. We also have a publishing branch of Brackish Pond, which is called Still Vexed. In that, we're publishing Bermudian writing, strong Bermudian writing. Kristen just put the whole thing, BrackishPondLit.com. I didn't even know that. This is why I miss her for things like this, because all of the details I'm not sure about. That is where there's such a good partnership. But BrackishPondLit.com, StillVexed.com if you want to check out Bermudian writing. If you're interested in submitting some strong Bermudian writing. Also, find us. We're all over the Twitterverse. On the Instagram, Still Vexed.
Does it have to be history?
No. So Still Vexed is actually, and Chris is going to kill me for not talking about it, because I absolutely forgot. But that is just the publishing arm of Brackish Pond. That is just like creative writing, poetry, long form, anything that is just strong Bermudian independent writing.
Okay.
All right. Yesha Townsend, thank you so much. Really appreciated it. Look, I'm ready to go for a second workout for the day. You got me going. But honestly, thank you. And please know.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. I've seen you so long.
I know.
Please reach out to us. We'd love to have you back if there's anything else going on. All right. Thanks again.
Love it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
We appreciate it. Boy, I love that. Woo!
I loved when she said blap blap. Her nano must have been so proud. I just love it.
You
love the energy,
authenticity all the time, and I appreciate her. And let me just say, Kristen, thank you for reaching out and suggesting we have Yesha on. I loved it. I mean, I appreciate her, and I have some homework to do myself that I put down here. So thanks again to you all, and all the best going forward with the Brackish Pond Lit. Carla, you're a writer, right? And I don't know much about writing. Would this be something that you would do more or less to learn, or something to do to enhance your career?
Well, you hurt my foot in the mouth, Barry Prince versus Sally Bassett. So I would think you would know I'd want to do it to learn. And also definitely to enhance the skill, because there's always a fresh pair of eyes, etc. And I just love Yesha's energy. So for me, as a creative, her energy and creating a platform, and Kristen's energy to create more, that's like, it's orgasmic almost. Like, can I say that? It's just a good vibe, you know. Think about what you love, and you're there with masters with you. It's just like, oh.
Indeed. Yeah. No, I get it. I appreciate it. Thanks again. We have a daily play for you. And folks, this daily play is a reflection of that conversation. So it's very easy. Help Carla out. Please help Carla out.
Brackish Pond.
Well,
I know you so well. So I already know the answer.
All right. All right. Here we go. This place is a world-class diving destination and has over 300 shipwrecks surrounding it.
Oh, I could picture it.
The official language is English.
Oh, it's not in Bermuda. In Australia, Great Barrier Reef.
The average year-round temperature is 71.6 degrees.
Oh, Bermuda. Oh. What is wrong with you? You are such a weirdo.
You know, honestly, I've given you easy ones, tried to trick you recently, and it hasn't worked. So we're going back to normal. Start tomorrow. And let me be clear, folks. Let me be clear. My partners, Keitha and Shanta, have helped me out last night. I said, you all, I need some new pictures, because Jackie and Carla, I think they're getting used to what I'm starting to ask them. So they sent me about 50 pictures last night to get you guys tomorrow. So it's back tomorrow.
Listen, Dijon and Kristen, the answer was too obvious, because I was thinking Bermuda. That's why I said, oh, I can picture it, because I was thinking of that place where the glass bottom boat goes. But I just figured that would be too easy for Jamal, which is why I said Great Barrier Reef. But I did come back and say Bermuda before
You
anyone else.
even persuaded one of our good friends, Robert, to say Great Barrier Reef. Like, don't lead our friends this way. Look at our friend Nikki. Okay, I'm gonna write a book. Well, look, I'm gonna read all you all's books. You all got me feeling guilty picking on me because I don't know who people are.
I'm definitely interested in the publishing side of Still Vet, so I will definitely be talking to Kristen.
And on Kristen, I definitely, folks, she has long story short. Get down there. It's holiday time. If you buy gifts and so on, check her out. Go down St. George's. Make a day out of it. Some nice restaurants down there. The people are okay too. They're better than Somerset people at least 2 days of the year. Don't forget, we have a big show tomorrow, another big one. We have Dr. Karika Weldon coming. We're going to be talking about the vaccination. She's going to be giving some information, her professional and expertise. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate a good conversation with Dr. Weldon. And don't forget, it's Friday, so it'll be the second episode of the Daily Hour Unfiltered. Carla, what are we talking about tomorrow again? Unfiltered.
I'm old, you told me. Bermuda, working in
challenges of Black businesses in Bermuda. Yes. So if you own a Black business or you know someone who does, you want to check out the Daily Hour Unfiltered episode 2, which comes on immediately following the Daily Hour live, but it only comes on live on the Full 100 radio station. So you want to tune in because I'm quite sure that Carla has some experiences to share of what it has been like, the challenges of owning a Black business in Bermuda. Jackie as well, challenges that she's and her family running a Black business have experienced. And of course, I guess I can throw myself in that ring as well. We also will be having Juggling Jason back on tomorrow on the Full 100 radio station. But Carla, real quickly, you had a West conversation last night, right?
Yes. So every Wednesday night we have lives in the Women's Empowerment Summit. And last night I had the absolute honor of having Nikki Fagan and Zena Malcolm from the Brand Lion. And it was phenomenal. 2 entrepreneurs that are just a powerhouse. So it's women's only. Fix your face. You all know that. Get over it. But here's the funny. I told Nikita and them last night. There was a man who tried to enter the group last night. He sent a request. He answered the request. The question.
He didn't have a name. First name at the beginning with J and last name began with H.
Yes, it was you. I just blocked it. Delete. But a guy actually tried. This is the 3rd time. And one guy said one time, he goes, "Oh, I just thought I'd ask." You never know what can happen. But it is a women's only space. We do have male guests, but they come in just for the moment and then we kick them out. But it was an awesome discussion last night.
To get into the conversation, I have to be a male guest.
Yes. So you can always come in. And then one male one time, he said, "Can I please just stay for like a day?" I'm like, "Nope. You have 30 minutes after show ends. You can look around and then goodbye." But men are important too. I'll consider letting you come in. You have to wear a skirt and I'll let you in.
No, that ain't happening. Not in my wardrobe. But I definitely agree. I think the Brand Lion ladies are awesome people. I love everything about them. And like I said, something about Nikki inspires me in particular. And then Zena's personality. I don't think you have a funnier person in PR. But props to them. Keep doing your thing. You got any inspiration for us today, Carla?
Yes. And also they kept me up until 2:30 this morning because we talked for another hour after we finished a 2-hour show. But success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Dale Carnegie.
I say it again. Happiness is getting what you want.
Success is getting what you want. Mm-hmm. Happiness is wanting what you get.
Got it. Decent.
Let that marinate.
Mm-hmm. Any final words?
Just don't forget about Chevelle, guys. It's been too long. Holidays coming up. Let's give her family peace. Everyone else, have a beautiful day as well.
Indeed. If you know something, let's bring her home. We appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow.